All right, family. Hello, hello. Apologies for being late. Welcome. It has been a morning. Welcome to Oracle Talks. My name is Jeanette the Oracle, founder and CEO of Anderson Alchemy. Thank you for being here. I pray that you are well or well enough and improving. I pray that you are healthy, happy, and whole. I hope that um, the burdens of your soul are released. I hope that, and I pray that your ancestors receive the healing that they need and that they are elevated and continue on their high trajectory path in the spirit and all the things. Love and blessings to everyone. Yeah, so it's been a day today. I had specifically had the intention of coming on extra early today because we are in the middle of a heat wave right now in California, and it's going to be in place for a while. And yesterday, my laptop was overheating a bit, so I was like, I want to get up early and knock out Oracle Talks, a couple hours earlier. That did not happen. Been spending several hours in the spirits trying to clear and get clarity on the messages for today, and was coming up against a lot of resistance. But with that being said, things are clear now. And I'm still going to get through these messages relatively quickly because, again, it is hot and I do want to be mindful of the draw on my electronics. So I don't want to have issues with that. I don't want to push my luck. But yeah, I'm going to continue having my breakfast, so don't mind me. But as you come in, say hi, tell us where you're joining from, what you might be sipping on, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, again, hope things are well. So the messages for today, as you can see from the title, are about shifting timelines. And this was coming through specifically about receiving guidance to prepare for the upcoming autumn equinox. If you are new to me, for me, the autumn equinox here in the or basically like whenever autumn is for you, because it's going to be different for the northern and southern hemispheres. But for us, autumn equinox is coming up, on the 21st, and that is spiritual New Year. So that is a time when we are kind of like closest to the veil, where we are closest to the divine mysteries and guidance, and it's a lot easier to get that information and get a heads up in the spirit about what is going on, how things are shifting, because, with the way times work, like that just cascades down into the physical. So, the new year doesn't begin at the calendar new year. It doesn't begin with the zodiac new year. It's at this time of, the sacred black or walking closely with spirit. So that's where we are. And so in preparation for that, I was checking in about, how to best prepare, and immediately was coming through about the importance of doing clearing work to essentially drop off old timelines, especially because we've been doing so much of this protection work and addressing, the mimicry that we've been that has come up in the past few weeks. So it's important to, in addition to continuing that work over these 4 moons, right? Now adding in this piece of clearing to support the dropping off of the old, and really letting that apply. And then it's also, because we don't just obsess over the death or the stripping energy, we also need to, in parallel, infuse ourselves with new light to raise our vibration, to reorient and realign to our high trajectory path, right? And then the last piece that was coming in was about addressing this choice, and I touched on this a little bit last time, but addressing this choice of truly stepping in and embodying whatever this next stage is. And specifically, because we're coming back to this, there is at least one thing, or maybe a few things, that are core places of resistance that we have that have shown up previously, and we're kind of like being brought back to that place again, and having to address that and figure out, if we are now at a place, truly heart, mind, spirit, soul, etc., to resolve ourselves to it, accept it, and choose to move forward in that way, because that choice, that free will choice to co-create whatever that experience is going to be, very much is going to play into the guidance that kind of comes through for the spiritual new year. Now, speaking of that, as I do each year, I am going to be facilitating a live channeling event for the spiritual new year. That will be happening on Saturday, September 21st at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. for Eastern time. And the link to register is in the description box. So please do join. Whether or not you actually are available to be there live, regardless if you registered, you will get the recording so that you can keep that and maintain that throughout the year. So it is very high value. We'll most likely be going for up to 3 hours. It's usually at least 2, but sometimes depending on what messages come through, we might go 3 hours. So just bear that in mind. Of course, if you have to jump off, you jump off, that's fine. Well, that will be there. And also today, I'm facilitating my live coaching session in Covenant, which is the private membership for Anderson Alchemy. So you can join me there. And then I believe on September 18th is the day for Atia, who will be doing live coaching that time. And then I believe September 27th is for Reverend Dr. Portia, who will be doing live coaching at that point. But I have I can't remember if I actually posted the, I don't remember if I posted the dates here on the community page. I know it's on IG. I might have only posted for the spiritual new year. So I'll definitely check, and if I haven't posted that, I'll post it so that you have the dates. But if you'd like to sign up and become a member of Covenant, again, that information is in the description box below, okay? All right, with no further ado, I'm gonna get these cards out. These messages are gonna be for everyone, Wayshowers, healers, /sustainers, and transformers. If you wanna know what type of light work you are, I do have a video in the Oracle Talks playlist that goes into detail for that for 2024. So you can figure out the type of light worker. Or I'm gonna have to figure out new language for this, because there's the spirit zodiac sign correlations, but there's still the Wayshower, healer, and transformer one. So I think I'll have to figure out new language, because the zodiac one is more of the general function, and the Trinity, so to speak, is more so the way you go about that function, as well as specifically on Earth as well. But whatever. Okay, so let me get these cards out. So again, the first messages are going to be about what is being released. Second set of cards is going to be about reorienting to our highest trajectory path. And then third is going to be about those areas of resistance that need to be addressed in order for us to make a conscious choice about how we are choosing to move forward. Okay. So as I'm getting these cards out, definitely connect to your breath. Allow for the release of concerns of the past, concerns of the present, concerns of the future, just for the short time that we are together. And as you do this, call in the power and the presence of your divine essence and your highest self to merge with all of your beingness, all of your soul, all of your human mind, conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind, your body as well. to bring all of you into alignment, to merge fully with your consciousness. And I also call in the power and the presence of Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, and Archangel Uriel to be around each person who is watching this, whether live or the recording. We set up a field of protection. Please quarantine, neutralize, and remove any and all harmful energies or attachments so that the messages can come through clearly as they need to. Okay, so let me show you the cards in general real quick. So 5 of Cups, Princess of Cups, and Knight of Cups. So these are the cards associated with the release thing. So in particular, when it comes to this release, this is going to be important to actually create your own prayers and affirmations around this. This is something that you would do on your own. So I won't be creating a template for a community prayer unless I get told differently, but I'm not getting the sense that I do. I think it's something you need to create on your own, but it's not something that has to be like really involved, but it does need to be specific about, again, dropping off old timelines that were associated with the the imitation, the mimicry, etc. So all the things associated with that, letting go. But in particular, specifically speaking to the nullifying, the canceling, and the releasing of contracts that you've had at various dimensional levels with spirits, beings, etc., who were connected with that imitation timeline, either directly as well as if they were connected to those who were behind the creation, excuse me, the creation of those imitation timelines. So I'll say that again. The nullifying, canceling, and releasing of contracts that you have with spirits, beings, whatever language you want to use, who were connected with those imitation timelines, as well as those who were behind the creation of those imitation timelines and also the maintenance of those imitation timelines. Okay. So we're actually going to go through the general realms of heaven so that we can be as comprehensive as possible. So the 5 of Cups is going to be talking about essentially like off-planet energy. So that really needs to go. It's a strong energy. That's Mars in Scorpio. So this would include the planets. So planetary spirits. It's not all planetary spirits, obviously, but again, specifically the planetary spirits that were connected to that imitation timeline. Those contracts need to go. This also would include the sun. So the sun, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, right? Any of the asteroids, right? Everything within the body of our solar system, like those contracts that were connected to those imitation timelines need to be canceled, nullified, deleted, released. This also is going to include star races, star families, whatever, again, non-solar system based being, spirit entity, that specifically there was a contract or connection to that imitation timeline. Those need to be released as well, okay? Yeah, point blank clear. Those needs to go. Now here, this Princess of Wands is going to be the more the um, middle heaven. So basically, Earth specific. We'll call this like in-house, in-house things. Um, oh, and to be clear, like this, as you are doing this, or as this conscious awareness comes online, because um, the releasing of contracts is not new, but this might not have come up before. Um, but regardless, do not be surprised if you get pushback about that. Okay, and there might be difficulty with trying to clear potentially, but like it just is a consequence of that energy wanting to hold on to um, what was false. So in this middle heaven, which would be fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension, but also just in general here in house, um, the dominions, principalities, powers, virtues, as I've discussed previously, that's all in this realm. So it's also going to be about releasing those contracts with those beings. So it could be nature connections, nature spirits, beings, elves, fairies, um, whoever. Whether you consider them to be benign or not is irrelevant. We are specifically about dropping off those imitation timelines. So, yeah, regardless, whoever it is, there's no malice about this. This is an exercise of like, oh, that was incorrect or like diverted or an imitation of what was actually part of the true ascension, or the highest possible and best for me. This was distorted. And so, in a way of reorienting and writing what is for me, I release, cancel, nullify, delete the contracts that I have with, excuse me, any spirits, beings, sprites, fairies, whoever that are, excuse me, yeah, all this, all this release now, that were uh, connected to me specifically through those imitation timelines, as well as anybody who was, again, facilitating that imitation and or maintaining it. But this is across the board, plants, crystals, even like it just clean house, essentially. And then lastly, in a 3D world, we have the Knight of Cups. So in a 3D world, this could be, a release of relationships, jobs, patterns of behaviors, belief systems, thought forms, identities. It can run the gamut, ways that you may have been in relationship with your body, like with money, like it could be any of those things. So keep that in mind with this. Um, but yeah, again, releasing those things that are connected to that imitation. And depending on what that is, that might have already been in play for a while. Some of this like loss, like some things might already be leaving or might already be shifting. What I do find interesting in this in particular is that all of these cards are water cards. So in addition to, you going through all of the things known and unknown in terms of who and what you are connected to, or who you have been in a relationship with. Again, not even necessarily with some malice, because it's just, again, the recognition of this just needs to be released. And then you can tell, like, if there is pushback about, from folks, it's just like, oh no, you're trying to hold on to the falsity. You're not actually aligned with what's best for my soul and for the souls of humanity. Like, then you can be like side eye. But yeah, I find it interesting that these three cards, as it relates to this release, are water energy. So you may also specifically need to release connections to some, or releasing current contracts with some water spirits or beings, with some beliefs and emotions, as well as ways of using your creative power. Like all three of those things. Okay, because the water energy you really can talk about a lot. It definitely talks about creativity and how you use your power to create and manifest what you want. It does talk about emotions and belief systems attached to that. So these are frameworks of being, frameworks of seeing yourself, of seeing the world, that cause you to feel a certain way depending on what shows up. It's like a preset filter, if you will. But again, as well as like water spirits or energies. There's also double Mars energy here. So there also might be, in addition or instead of that, a predominance of spirits, beings, as well as a way of showing up in the world that related to the accumulation of power. Okay. And whatever that was based on before, which, most likely would have been about power over in the spirit realm, control, etc., as well as in the, terrestrial world, capitalism. So money related power, positions of power. You get what I mean? Hello to folks coming in. Please say hi. Let us know where you're joining from, what you're drinking, etc. Let me know how you're doing, how this is resonating. Okay, I'll leave that for now. Let me move on. My laptop is already burning up. So in terms of the reorientation, again, speaking, praying, affirming regularly, and this should probably be daily practice as well. But for everything I'm talking about today, this addressing of these shifting timelines. But this is about, as you are reorienting, because it's not like whatever the highest trajectory path is not like new. It's more so like reorienting and coming back to the path. It's like a remembrance, a reminder. One of like these messages are also ways to make sure you pay attention to, at the very least, including this or considering this in that process of strengthening that connection with that higher level. So we have the Magician, the Judgment card, and the Lover. So we had all major arcana come up. So first and foremost, aligning with God's source creator, asking for support from the Holy Spirit, attuning as well to your highest self, not your higher self, but your highest self, because that's going to be the highest dimensional expression of your soul, which at a minimum should be seventh dimension. So we're like, if you're focused on 5D consciousness, 6D consciousness, we need to be 7D at a minimum. So highest self, right? Aligning with that. So developing and strengthening that connection and communication is really important and key. Strengthening connection with those who are now the new guard, essentially, who is coming in to replace those who were removed in those positions of support, guidance, protection, etc. for you. Like those folks who are removed from the imitation timelines, like there's a new guard coming in. So specifically asking for the strengthening of connection, communication, awareness, and perception of them to build those bonds and establish new contracts. And then in the physical world, like really seeking to match that same level of consideration and standard for being in the physical. So being really cognizant of who you choose to be in relationship with, the type of work that you choose to do, you know, how you choose to show up for yourself, and et cetera, like holding that strong and steady. But community is definitely important in the physical. And community does not mean that it's a lot of people. It just means like resonant spirits, resonant souls, again, with the highest trajectory path. And that doesn't have to be a lot. Okay. And then lastly, let me know if there are questions. I should have been taking notes about when I touch on these topics, but I'll do timestamps later. Lastly, as it relates to addressing and looking at those areas of previous resistance so that we can make a conscious choice about how we want to choose to move forward in these new spiritual functions. We have the King of Swords, Queen of Cups, and the Two of Wands. My laptop is so hot. Let me get through this. So what is coming up for... So there may be resistance around what your function in the spirit in the heavenly realms actually is. And this is not, none of the stuff I'm talking about is actually going to be new. It's circling back to be addressed again. So you do need to sit with and grapple with and resolve in some way, shape, or form the resistance you have around stepping into a particular role. And like I had mentioned before, like there is no, there's no like obligation, if you will, like you're not forced to take on a role if you don't want to, but if you're still not clear, if you're going back and forth or not sure or what have you, like you get to, it's important to sit with that and to like really unpack the concerns that you have, and also think about what it is that you need. You know, what would make you feel more confident, more comfortable with the position, what you would need to see, what the terms and conditions essentially of the contract, of the role, of the function is there, and um, you know, see what of that is negotiable, see what of that is non-negotiable, and make sure you bring yourself to it rather than thinking of it as something that is like, um, you know, a burden or whatever the thought might be. Like, I don't know what it is, but like, you know, addressing that. Okay. So that's one thing. Um, there's also a message here with this Queen of Cups about being a light in the dark, in the midst of the chaos, and actually just being, resolving yourself with the issues around that, or the perspective that you have around that. Like, you know, is it chaos or is it just the swirling waters? Um, is this really what your spirit feels, or um, is your heart aching for something else? Like, what else is there, right? I think this also touches on, like, you know, your place in the world in general. And then we have the Two of Wands. Oh, this Queen of Cups is more so about like middle heaven, fourth dimension, fifth and sixth. Two of Wands is about the material plane, earth realm. There may be concerns about your power, especially since power came up in terms of what was being released, and like the connection that some of these contracts were founded on. Like, there may be concerns about being able to have power in the world to get your needs met, to survive, as well as being able to and or being able to exercise the power that you have as a soul, to just create in general, or to move and influence things in the way that you want. It might not even be so much about survival. Um, that might be coming up here. Another thing that might be coming up is feeling like you have to choose between one or the other, and not quite sure how to actually blend the two or integrate the two. And you feel like you um, are constantly having to choose. Like, that might be coming up. Like, what would that both and experience look like? And if this is something that has come up as a point of resistance before, or like a sticking point before, it's like you get to now sit with this more, and realize like the power that you actually do have in your hands to, um, in a lot of ways, not be made to think that the two worlds don't go together, right? Like, it's um, just because that's the dominant uh, way of things in many places, not just Western culture. Um, that's not necessarily what it is for you or for us. I'm curious what else is about this Queen of Cups message. One second, or if there's anything else. But that's, I'll get messages for this, but this is pretty much the message. Oh, this may be a matter of like not being sure of who you can trust. If you can trust your intuition, if you can believe others, that kind of stuff might be coming up. Excuse me, if you feel safe in the spirit, those might be points of resistance or areas that need to be addressed. All right, y'all. So that is the message. Any questions, comments, concerns before we bounce? I know this was, again, a shorter one, but like I said, I wanted to get through these messages quickly so I can not overheat my laptop. If there's not, we will bounce, and then we will connect next week, God willing. As a heads up, another reason why these messages are coming through right now is we do have the Sun opposed Saturn coming up this weekend, as well as Mercury heading back into a Virgo. So this energy is very conducive for the releasing of contracts, literally Sun and Saturn, right? And then Virgo being, when we talk about in the spirit, related to the courts and contracts. So yeah, there's that. So definitely, develop whatever prayer, affirmations or statements and decrees you want to create around the release of contracts, the alignment with new contracts and developing of those relationships, as well as sitting with the those core resistant issues around choice for your next step, this next stage. For this high trajectory path, because again, the high trajectory path is, what is that going to entail, right? So that energy is supportive. We do have in less than 2 weeks the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces coming, which again is another powerful clearing energy, and that's happening a few days before spiritual new year, the autumn equinox. So really important and really potent. That energy is happening before that time, before that kind of like new moon of the new year, if you will. That full moon lunar eclipse will be essentially closing out the cycle that began with the new moon solar eclipse in Aries on April 8th, I believe. And I believe it was Aries at 19 degrees. So the issues around that, and goals or what have you that you have related to that will be coming to a close by that time, okay? But at that point, hopefully you should have achieved the goals that you set out to achieve. If not, you get to reassess and replan for the next eclipse cycle, which will be at the beginning of October with the new moon solar eclipse in Libra. Okay. Yeah, okay. But I don't see any questions. So, and no other comments, but I don't see anything else. So I think we're good to go. Thank you to folks who've been sharing with me your insight and intel and intuitive hits of additional, guidance or messages or insights into things that have been going on in the spirit. It is appreciated. Yeah, let's continue to do that. If you want to share something, you can put it in the comments below, or you can go to my website and go to the contact page of the website and share any insider intel there. Either place is great for asking questions as well. But yeah, those are both available. Okay, y'all. Love you much. Again, apologies for being late. It was not the intention. I was planning to get on at like between 7:30, 8 or 9 this morning, and that did not happen. So But we are here. We address the things that need to be addressed, and we are here. So love you all. Blessings. Stay cool if you were in one of the areas of the U.S. that are, or around the world that are going through heat wave stuff. Stay cool. Stay hydrated. Heat stroke is not something to play with at all. Keep those electrolytes up, those minerals. And God willing, I will see you next week. Bye.